Yo, what's good? What's good, everybody? How you guys doing? This is Coffee and Sports in the Morning, starting with your host, aka Coach Dante. We have our supposed to have our third guy to the show, Jonathan. Don't know where he's at right now, but we got our first contestant, which is Jay, up this morning. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Man, I'm doing good, feeling great, man. How y'all feeling?
I'm doing great.
I'm
I'm
great,
doing
man.
great. So at the bottom, down there, at the bottom of the screen, I got my right hand man for this morning, every morning show, Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
Doing great, Coach. What's up, Jay?
What's up, Mo? How you feeling, baby?
Wonderful.
I like
Man,
that background you got going on there too. I meant to tell you that yesterday.
I came up a little bit. A lot of people don't know I play piano, so
Hey,
I
that's
do
what's up. I like it.
yes, indeed. So we finally got the saga is over with for Saquon Barkley. Finally got that saga over with. Now the Giants can just worry about getting back into football. Saquon Barkley got his new deal today. It is worth I believe it's a 1 year deal. It's only a 1 year deal worth 11 mil to sign back with the Giants. So he's basically on a 1 year deal. Here goes my other guy that will be with me and Mo throughout the whole morning. Jonathan, man, how you doing?
Doing good. How you
Hey,
guys doing this morning?
Hey, what's up, Jay?
fantastic.
So I'll say Saquon Barkley saga is over. 1 year deal, $10 million, $10 million. 2 million is upfront signing bonus as well. So Jay, give me your initial reactions to Saquon Barkley signing back with the New York Giants only for one this season, though, basically.
Um, it was surprising. I will be honest with you. I was kind of surprised that this happened so quickly. I know a lot of people allude to the Zoom call, and I think we had spoke about it. It's not for this year; it's for the future. But as we've said, I know Mo said it, man. This was the best option, right? The NFL is a year by year, got to prove it year by year kind of thing. And if Saquon would have set out a year, I'm not quite sure how old he is. I think he's over 25. So if he would have set out a year, that's another year added on. His value could potentially go down even more. So it sucks. He was in a lose-lose situation, but this was I guess this was the best option for him. It was the best option for him, and even to get his incentives, he's got to basically put up a similar season of what he had last year. So it's surprising, but it's the best option for him. Hopefully, we saw Lamar Jackson do it kind of like that last year. He bet on himself, and he was able to win and get the contract he wanted. I don't know if even if Saquon has a great year this year, I don't know if he gets the contract that he really wants. So, especially with his age going up and things like that. So it's surprising. Giants fans should be happy they got him for the low. I think he eventually lost out on 2 mil because I think he had a $14 million deal on the table. He turned down at one point. So, not surprised. Well, I am surprised that it happened this early, but he didn't have any other really option. It was sign or sit out, and that wasn't going to do him no good.
Got you. Jonathan, JG.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the hard part right now for really in running backs, but also for the NFL players as well. We kind of talked about this a few weeks ago that for change to happen, you absolutely need solidarity. I know they were having the Zoom call, but you have to be solid with each other in the decision that you're wanting to make. Again, that's why Major League Baseball's player union was one of the strongest there is in sports. Still kind of is at the moment, but they've taken hits because the ownership is taking control. Owners have complete control in the NFL. And if you want change, you're going to have to sacrifice everything. And I think that's what the whole Zoom call was going to be. It was like, how can we get the change we want to get our value back? The problem is how do you sustain what you need to do if you don't want to risk it all? This was an opportunity for Saquon. This was an opportunity for Josh Jacobs. This is an opportunity for a lot of these running backs who are fighting, saying, "Hey, look, we are taking a pounding in the game. We are still valued though. We are still a valued commodity for this team and an asset for this team, but you're not treating as such." Again, Sean McVay came out after the Todd Gurley contract and said, "We'll never pay another running back. We'll draft one, play him for 4 years, run him through the ground, send him on his way." That would be a red flag for running backs. That would be. And the moment that Saquon signed this 1-year deal, that kind of broke the opportunity for solidarity to voice change and continue to push for change. Am I saying that he should have sat out for the whole year? No, because that's going to hurt him. And we talked about that last week. It's going to hurt him. But if you want change, you have to sacrifice. And this was a moment of opportunity that was slipped away again for NFL players, for running backs to have a moment of change and taking some power back. And good for him to get it done. And now let's go get in camp. Hopefully, as we get more details, there is a clause that says that the team can't franchise him, because that would make more sense than why he signed. If they said you can't, kind of what they did, other teams have done in the past. You can't tag me for next year. I'm going to go be a free agent. If they agreed on that and it's in the contract, makes more sense. Right. If it's not, it made no sense what he was doing.
Go ahead, Mo.
So I think in the end, he kind of like negotiated down, didn't he? Like the Giants offered him $13 million. That was their offer. And I get the solidarity and the idea of holding out, but I thought he would have stood stronger than what he did. So if you're a Giants fan, you're just glad that he's back in camp and ready to go. You want him there with his teammates. You want to get the reps. You want to get him sharp. But if you're a running back and you guys had this call and you talked about what you should do going forward in your careers and how you could better yourself and better your situation, it's a little disappointing that he would turn around and sign this deal. But it might be one of those things like Jonathan said, maybe you can say he's betting on himself, have another great year, up his value. But the way I look at it is the league has shifted. He could have an 1,800-yard season and still end up unemployed, like Cook is right now. Dalvin Cook's a great football player, and a lot of teams want his services. We can agree on that, but nobody wants to pay him. And I think in the end, what Saquon doesn't understand is, or maybe he has come to the realization just late to the table, that things aren't going to get better for them financially unless they get more support from their union.
Man, that Zoom call, I'm just speculating, but I know Nick Chubb came from the Zoom call and was like, basically they quoted him like, "There's nothing we can do. They got us by the balls." Like, I don't know what came from the meeting, obviously, but that quote was leaked out. That basically it said, and I don't know if they even. I don't know if they even came to a solidarity as far as like what they should do moving forward. You know, the first phone call is always, like throwing ideas out there, see what sticks and things like that. But I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm like y'all. I'm kind of. I thought he was gonna like sit out a little bit longer. I mean, Josh Jacobs. They just said he caught a plane leaving Vegas. So he has no plans of re-signing. So I thought Saquon was going to be something similar, like, I didn't think it was going to be this quick.
I mean, in a way, that is true. Is what Chubb said was, they got us. But that's where you go to DeMaurice Smith, who is your union president, you're using union rep, and you say, "What have you done?" And it's not just the running backs, like all NFL players. Throughout the whole negotiations that have taken place on the CBA, you go to the lockout that happened, I think it was in 2012. You go to the lockout that happened, you go to the latest negotiations, and you can just see every time negotiations took place, more power was gained by the owners. in a way, the CBA is a partnership. That's what it. That's when we go and when I met in MLB, and again, I'm a minor leaguer. Minor leaguers at the time, they finally are getting more of their CBA today. But when I was playing, we didn't have all that. They just told us, hey, when you get to the major leagues, you're going to start doing this, and this. It was a partnership. You got to get there for the union to take care of you when you're in the minors, but you got it. But that was a part. There is no partnership with the union and the owners in the NFL. They know you're an employee. You work for me as I'm the owner, and you're going to do as I say. And every time the CBA comes up, Damari Smith, for some reason, thinks every time they go through the negotiations and they agree to it, it's a win for the players. But the reality is it's not. It has not been a win for the players. And this is the prime example, the latest example for that the running backs are sitting back and go, what can we do? We have nothing. Ryan Clark on ESPN, I think he said either it was yesterday or I think it was yesterday, he said, you want to do something? Show up. Every running back, show up Sunday morning, say, hey, my hamstring's tight. I can't play. Every starting running back, show up, practice, do everything you're supposed to do Sunday morning before your game or Monday morning or Thursday night, show up and say, hey, my hamstring's hurt. I can't play today. My back is tight. I can't play. That you're there in the building, you're practicing, but don't play and show what your value is at that point. If you really want to take a sacrifice and take a risk to better your value, that's an opportunity to really sit there and say it could hurt you in the long run, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. And in this case, right now, nothing has gone your way. Just do what's best for yourself.
Yep.
Got you. Right there. So here we go. We got the next topic coming up right now. So we got a little golf. We got Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has been linked to Miami, Buffalo, New York Jets. Which team is the best fit for Dalvin Cook's services? And one of these teams, three teams, pushes one of these three teams over the top of the AFC East. So, which team will fit Dalvin Cook's services, and does it put them over the top of the AFC East with if Dalvin Cook was somehow to go there? Mo, I'm gonna start this off with you.
Well, I think he'd be a great fit with the Jets or the Dolphins, but definitely the Dolphins. You want to protect Tua, have an established running game. You're always worried about Tua, the next hit. If you've got a back that can potentially get you 100 yards a game, carry the ball 20, 25 times, take some pressure off of Tua, and also balance out that offense a little bit more. I think he'd be a great fit with the Dolphins. I also think he would fit well with the Jets. You've got an older quarterback, Breece Hall, coming off a major injury. I think you bring in a Dalvin Cook, and it diversifies your offense. Even if Breece Hall comes back, you can just run a two-back system. They can split carries. Breece Hall's not going to be the same Breece Hall from last year for a while. It takes a minute to come back from that type of injury before you're 100%. So I think that you could argue that Dalvin Cook is needed more in New York, because I don't think Aaron Rodgers came there with the idea that he's going to throw 45 passes a game. So to me, those are the two teams that jump out right away that he'd be excellent fits for. I just think that with the quarterback situations being what they are, Rodgers a little bit older, and Tua just with his health issues, you don't want Tua dropping back 35 times a game. You drop back 35 times a game, I don't care who you are, you're going to take some hits.
JG?
Yeah, I agree. I think Miami, because again, they drafted Devin Achane from Texas A&M, speed back, but you have an older Raheem Mostert as right now. Who's your lead? You don't really have who's your lead back, but we've seen he's got an injury history. He's not been able to really play a full season for most of his career. So you've got a group of running backs that are in Miami that are not a lead back, which we know. Mike McDaniel wants to throw the ball. Tua Tagovailoa is, with the weapons he has with Hill and Waddle, they're going to want to throw. But as Mo just said, you need balance, and you need someone that you can hand the ball off to and be able to create some holes for the throwing lanes. And Dalvin Cook can do that. a little bit better than what you have in the stable right now in your running back room. And I think he would be a prime fit. I think Buffalo wants to really hone in on James Cook, Dalvin's younger brother, to be the lead back. I don't see Dalvin really – they're both very kind of similar in ways. So I don't see the complementary fit in Buffalo. I think, as I said, Breece Hall is the lead back. It's going to, as another thing that Mo just said, it's going to take some time. ACL is usually by year 2 after you come back is when you really are you're back to normal. But they have a pretty packed running back room. Would you like another running back like Dalvin Cook to go in? Of course you do. But I think they have it in their mind who their lead back is. But Miami doesn't have a lead back. You have a lot of complementary backs that you can run with and interchange. But needing someone that you can hand the ball off to create space and create holes for your throwing lanes, it makes a lot of sense for Dalvin to be in Miami and be the complementary piece of the passing offense that Miami does not currently have in their running back room.
I agree. I think you can make a case for all 4 teams. I think he can fit for all 4 teams relatively good and make them better. However, I'm gonna go with the Jets or Buffalo. I know Buffalo, like you all said, that his brother is up there, and they probably want his brother to take over things. Who not to learn from other than your brother? Who better to have to recruit you to Buffalo than your brother, right? To have you to come up there and help you take some pressure off Josh Allen. He doesn't have the pressure to create turnovers and force the ball. And like you said, a quarterback's best friend is a great running game, right? So they don't have a really good running game either as of right now, to be determined with James Cook. They just let Singletary go to Houston. So Buffalo definitely, to me, is a good option. But the Jets, man, I'm kind of tired of the Jets right now. But Aaron Rodgers, you got a really good, reliable quarterback with him. Just hand it off. He can definitely help Breece Hall until Breece Hall, doesn't have to feel pressured and rush to come back. So I think those two probably be his best option. And he'll definitely help either one of those teams, go win the AFC East.
So I want to throw this out there. Is it really the Buffalo Bills don't have a good running game, or they just don't use the run game? So when I watch the Buffalo Bills, I don't want to go as far as say they don't have a running game, because they don't use the running game a lot. They Josh Allen. This is a Josh Allen offense. This offense fits to more like his skill set. You look at Devin Singletary, who had 865 yards, 800 yards his rookie year, 700, 800 yards his rookie year, and he has 800 and about 60 yards this year. So I think the backs are actually solid. They just don't use the run game heavily. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Mo, I'm gonna start with you.
I think you're right, Coach. They don't really commit to the run game. That's something it's a Josh Allen centric offense. When they think of running, they're doing RPO, but they're usually Josh Allen ends up running the football, which I don't think is a wise move going forward. He might be a big, powerful guy, but big, powerful guys in the history of this league, they get chopped down just like everybody else. Go look at Big Ben and how he got worn down. Go look at Eddie George, who was a big power back, but he got chopped down. He got worn down. I really think they need to commit more to the run game. I think a better run game, or at least a run game that makes the defense respect the threat of the run, will make Josh Allen a better and a more efficient quarterback.
JG?
Yeah, I get they want to use his athleticism, and he is for as big as he is an asset in his run game. But like Mo just said, they're not utilizing the RPO in a way correctly, because the higher the percentages are, he takes off on the RPO. So what's going to make them change is when defense finally hones in and just says, all right, forget, he's not handing it off. I'm just going to go and hit, and you take that part away from him. How do they react to it? We haven't seen it yet, because percentages tell us he's running with the ball more so than that. And once you start honing in, make them do something they're not comfortable with and see how they react. If they can make that adjustment with a little bit more, and I think that's probably, again, is it you could say maybe it's just the running backs they've had in there? Maybe. I mean, they've had some pretty good running backs in Devin Singletary. They had Zach Moss, who at times showed some flashes. James Cook now. So they've had some decent running backs in there. It's not like there's just nobodies. But at the same time, their philosophy and how they've been able to do the RPO is very flawed because again, you're letting your 6'5" quarterback take an absolute beating when he takes off running with it. And if you're invested in him as your franchise to hopefully lead you to a Super Bowl, you're going to have to make adjustments and tell him, yeah, hey, we're doing RPO, but give the ball off. Give the ball up because you're going to start getting hit and you're going to start taking that pounding and your days are going to be numbered like every quarterback is when they run the RPO.
I think they just haven't really had that guy, and that's why they keep giving Josh Allen the ball to run it. Like, yes, it's a trendy league. Everybody passes. I know Andy Reid had an issue with that at one point where he didn't like to run the ball. He was real pass heavy, but Buffalo hasn't really had anybody to be like, you need to give him the ball here every 2 out of the 3 downs. In my opinion, they didn't produce like they should have, so they feel comfortable with Josh Allen with the ball in his hand, and I think that's why you need a Dalvin Cook to hand him off the ball so you can feel comfortable and feel trustworthy in your running back that, hey, he can pick up those 3 to 4 yards, straight up. We don't have to worry about doing an RPO and Josh rolling out. We can just hand you the ball up. They couldn't really do that with Zach Moss and Singletary. I mean, they could do it every now and then. It was hit or miss, but it wasn't nothing consistent where you felt comfortable, hey, we need these 3 yards. Go out there and get it for us. So I think that's why you see more of a heavy RPO, a lot of running with Josh Allen because they don't feel comfortable with the consistency of the running backs that they've had in the past.
Well, yeah, when you're the shorter yardage situation, of course, you're going to let your 6'5", 230, 235 quarterback pick it up because, again, it's just 2 steps and he's picked up 3 yards right there. So, I mean, in the short yardage type of situation, yeah, but if you're wanting to change the pace and if you're wanting to change the look, they got to let the running back get a little bit more involved. Now, as you're saying, if the running backs are just not getting with their yardage, okay, then you're going to have to abandon that side of the game a little bit more anyway. But if they're showing you the looks of it, that where they're going to start really attacking that, the quarterback on the RPO, you're going to have to do something to change that up. And I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to let Josh or if Josh himself is going to allow it to happen because he knows, well, hey, I'm going to get the yardage a little bit more than what my running backs are. I'll take the hit, bounce off. I'm going to take off running. But at some point, the mindset has to change. The philosophy has to change because he can't keep taking those hits and being able to. We saw, the biggest comparison for Josh Allen as far as body type, Cam Newton. Absolutely, Cam Newton is, and it took him time, but it finally caught up to him where those hits he was getting taking, it became too much, and the body started breaking down a little bit more as his career went on.
And it's crazy because
it's a philosophy thing too, Jay. I think it's a philosophy.
Correct.
When they say their running backs aren't very good, you wouldn't know if you're not carrying the football. They throw the ball. They remind me a lot of Dan Marino back in the 80s. I don't know how good their running backs were because they didn't run the football enough for you to find out. They don't commit to the run on any level. If they really felt that way, that we don't have a special running back, Dalvin Cook should have been signed as soon as the man became a free agent.
Agreed.
And he's still dang on out there. So that tells you they think the running backs they have for what they want to do, I'm talking about their overall offensive philosophy, is just fine. They're not looking for a 1,500-yard running back.
And that's why they ain't going to get over the hump. Because they going to keep going with the same philosophy, and it hasn't worked. And it's crazy because Cam Newton had the opposite. He had 2 talented running backs and didn't have a receiver, and they were still running RPO. But yes, I think Buffalo, they do have to change the philosophy, and I think when they get that where they feel a consistent and talented or special individual, they'll try to they'll give the ball off more, take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands less. But until then, you're gonna see the same old Buffalo RPO and probably not get over the hump.
So that's why I bring up this narrative every time when you say the running backs ain't really good, because what Gene said, it takes away some of the mistakes that Josh Allen makes if you actually commit to the run game. I mean, 800 yards is no slouch, man. That's okay. That's pretty good, especially for a guy like Devin Singletary. In 800 yards in last couple of seasons, the year before last and this year. Maybe it takes away some of the bad decision makings that Josh Allen has. Maybe it takes away those late stages interceptions that he has. The times they will be able to run the ball, they were pretty solid. They were okay running the football, but I'll say sometimes I think when you watch the Buffalo Bills, the offense is so made up for Josh Allen for that RPO game and stuff like that. You depending on Josh Allen to just be the team, especially a very good team like the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, he lost to the Jets literally last year on throwing away 2 interceptions by the goal line. Those are the situations you want to get the run game going by the goal line. But so much is relied on Josh Allen. Maybe if you take a gamble and run the football, maybe some of those mistakes are limited.
Do we think Buffalo views James Cook as that running back for them? Like, is he gonna? Do they view him as the guy that they've been missing? It's an interesting outlook of where they are at and how they view their starter now with Cook. I mean, is that the portrayal that we're getting from the team, from front office and coaching staff, that they finally have the guy to pair with Josh Allen?
I think so. I'm not sure if what they drafted as far as draft picks, but I don't know any free agent signings that they got running back wise to replace Singletary. So I'm assuming that they're rolling with James Cook. And I like James Cook. I thought he was going to be a really good fit for them if they utilize him correctly, if they implement him in the game plan more. So we're going to see.
So they have James Cook, Damian Harris from Patriots, Latavius Murray, Nyheim Hines, but Nyheim Hines is out for the season after the jet ski injury with his knee. So, I mean, Cook, Damian Harris, and Latavius Murray are their 1, 2, and 3 backs right now. I mean, that's a decent stable. But you're not relying Damian Harris to be the starter. If Damian is your starting running back, okay, you're kind of in trouble. The same thing with Latavius. Latavius is not a starting running back anymore. He's a good, solid, running back. So, I mean, how they're shaping it, it seems to me at least they're valuing or they're looking at James Cook as the guy in there to pair with Allen in the backfield.
It's going to be a lot of scat back, a lot of running backs coming out the backfield to catch passes, and Latavius Murray is just going to be that short down back, that goal line back. So to take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands is what it sounds like to me.
See, Chris brought up average 4.6 yak yards. They can run the ball, but they choose not to. That's what I'm saying. That's why I actually look at they choose not to run the ball. They don't. It's not. I don't think it's not that they can't do it. That they just choose not to. They just put a lot on Josh Allen. And Josh Allen just proven not just to throw critical mistakes in critical situations. Maybe if you take the ball out of his hands a little bit more and trust in that running game. Because if you really so high on James Cook, if you really so high on all these running backs, then hey, why you're not giving them an opportunity? You would never see what a player got if you're not going to give them an opportunity. Now you've seen glimpses of what they could do, but then just not when you're not getting the opportunities all the time. Hey, I mean. I say, but other than that, I think we got a golf. I think we got a golf topic right here, and it says PJ Tour got caught cheating. He changed his scorecards to make the cut. What do you guys think about that? I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, so. Golf, I'm not going to say anything that we all know. Golf is a very, it's a very ethical sport. You do your own scorekeeping. Your partners that you play with do your own scorekeeping. He double bogeyed 18. The cut was -3. The double bogey made him at -1. He was going to miss the cut. When they went to the scorer's table and his partner had his card, so you don't keep your own scorecard. You have your partner that you're playing with. And so he, when he double bogey, they went to the scores tent. He asked when they went to the official for it, he asked, "Hey, let me double check. I just want to make sure what my score was." The partner gave it to him. He goes and changes his double bogey to a par on the 18th hole to give him a -3 to make the cut to play on the weekend and turn it in. Well, once they showed it on the big board with all the players, all his partners were like, "That's not what you got. You didn't have that." So they turned him in to the score officials at the tournament, the Canada Open. To which he goes, "No, I parred that hole. I parred it." They went back and viewed it, and again, they can go back. It's on, they can go back and look and see because they have everybody. They have every group has their own score official following those groups, and they even went to him and said, "No, you didn't." So by that point, he withdrew from the tournament as they were investigating further. He went ahead and said, "Look, I'm just going to withdraw." Then Monday morning rolls around, and he comes out and says, "Hey, yeah, look, I did cheat." It's a bad look because that doesn't happen. I mean, it doesn't happen in golf as much because you are responsible for your own scorekeeping, and it's very public, where you have people following you and officials of the tournament following you to do your scorekeeping on top of it. So, is it shame on him? Absolutely. Is this going to be where he's not a high profile player? He's someone who's trying to continue to qualify for tournaments every weekend. This is going to end up possibly having to revoke his membership in the PGA because you don't do this. You don't have this happen. And if you're somebody who is trying so hard to qualify each week, they'll throw you. Hey, you're done. You're not going to do this. You're not going to embarrass the PGA, number one, and certainly not going to embarrass us. Our way of doing things. He's basically going to end up ruining his career out of this, and he's going to be done playing PGA golf from here on out.
Man, this had to be one of the funniest stories, kind of like I've ever heard. Like, were you playing by yourself? Did you not think anybody saw you? Like the audacity to just be like, "Nah, man, that's what I scored," and he hit the ball in the water. Like it wasn't just like it's just crazy, man. So I'm interested to see what they're gonna do as far as like a penalty wise. They blackball him, but that's wild as hell. Like, bro, we just seen you, and if you're gonna cheat, you're on the same page with your guys, man, and let's go all cheat together. Like, come on,
that's all I was waiting to hear. That's what
like if we're gonna cheat, let's just guys, look. I messed up. Hey, let's go ahead. Just give me, take me one down under, and let's go ahead and go with that. If we go cheat, don't let me cheat and then y'all dime me out. Come on, man. What are we doing? Solidarity.
That's what makes the story hilarious because he cheated, and then he thought, "I'll just slide this in. They won't notice." And then the dudes he's playing with, they always like, "Yo, nah, they narked on him. They narked."
Yeah,
they're like, this dude is lying. That's the funny part. He really thought they were all going to be in lockstep and just be like, "Yeah, he did that. He did that. We're going to ignore that the ball went in the water. We're going to ignore he's been like the worst golfer on the course all day. We're not going to say anything." And he really thought he was going to skate on that. That's what makes the story hilarious because then he tried to act like he was outraged, like, "Well, I'm just gonna leave because you're calling me a cheater." Like he was really like going all in on the lie, and then he had to come out and make an apology. Look, it's a bad look. It's a bad look on him. But like JG said, he's somebody that's still trying to establish himself, trying to make tournaments. He's not like it'd be insane if it was like a named player. If it was Tiger Woods and they said, "Yeah, we saw Tiger's erasing his scores," that would be insane. That would, the story itself is crazy, but I don't think it's something that's going to last much longer than what it has now. He's not a major player. It happened. Nah. People got to laugh out of it. We'll move on.
I mean, like I said, it's the partners, but they have an official score with each group. That is all their job is. They hold the card and they have the card, or now I guess in today they have the electronic device that they do the scorekeeping through, and that guy's job is solely to have player 1, player 2, player 3, and player 4 on Thursday and Friday. There's 4 guys in the group with them, And he has the score for everybody, and all his job, he's holding it out like this, no different than having your cell phone here, and you're just looking at it the entire time. All right, you just finished your hole. You had a 5 on that one. Okay, hey, you double bogeyed. You had a 7 on that one. And when they all look at the board and they say, oh, he had a 5 on the 18th hole. What did I miss? What did I miss? That because I have you down as a 7. He has you down as a 7. He had you down as a 7. He had you down as a 7. What did we all miss here? So it was just the ridiculous side of as y'all are saying is exactly what it was. That he went try to just absolutely openly cheat and thought, yeah, nobody's going to notice because I'm not really anybody, so I'm just going to be able to slide right into the cut, play on the weekend to make some money now, which that didn't happen.
Man, find another profession, bro. Find another profession, Justin. Justin, you got to find another profession. You can't act like you didn't hit the ball in the water and we just didn't see that. Come on, buddy.
Oh my goodness.
At this point, he's gonna end up having to.
Yeah. Come on the podcast, man. We'll let it talk to you.
I would love that.
All right. So we have we have this is a nice one. So two offense versus defense. We have college football. So this should be interesting for JG, and Mo already used to the nickname already for Jonathan, aka JG. I already told that remind me of Jonathan Gannon. So I say JG. All right, so who will win this game on playing on a mutual field? Starting with you, Jay. 2019 LSU Tigers with Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Joe Burrow, or the 2021 versus the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs defense. Who will win that battle? Who you got? Who will win it on a mutual field?
I got LSU, baby. I'm going with LSU. I'm a Michigan fan, by the way, but I'm going with LSU on this, man. I said that a little too comfortably. So when you dive into the numbers, that Georgia defense was definitely a dog. They were, I don't want to take anything away from them. But if you look at the numbers, at home, they were definitely even tougher. But on the road in neutral sites, it got a little. They gave up a little bit more, I should say. The 6 games they were at home, they gave up 532 rushing yards, 736 passing yards, total of 1,268 yards, average yards to play 3.4. On the road or on neutral grounds, they gave up 651 rushing yards, 2,100 passing yards, 2,751 total yards, and an average of 4.5 yards. And they lost to Bama, right? The SEC, the SEC game, they lost to Bama. They gave up 115 yards, 421 yards passing, 536 total yards, and 7.6 yards at average. So LSU record-breaking offense. That team was just special, right? They had 2 1,000-yard receivers, Carlos Edwards-Helaire, 1,000-yard rusher, Joe Burrow, 60 touchdowns. So that offense was putting up crazy numbers, man, like 7.89 per play, 550 plus yards a game. Like, I just think it would have been. I think I'm going with LSU, man. Just because I think the offense would have been a little bit too much for that defense.
All right, I'm gonna let JG go last on this one. Because like I say again, shout out to the LSU Tigers, man. Big shout out to them, man. They got some hell of a program, and that ladies program. Oh my God, bro! You would hate to see them next year. They got a couple more years of that. But go ahead, Mo.
I'm going LSU. Joe Cool, 60 touchdowns, 5,600 yards passing, and here's the thing: Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's the forgotten guy. He's the other guy, and he was a 1,400-yard back. He's the other guy, the 1,400-yard back. Then you've got something special with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. look, as good as that defense was, and they had playmakers at all three levels, you're not slowing down that offense. You're not. That version of Joe Burrow right there, that sets you up for the Joe Burrow we have right now in the NFL. That guy right there, he already showed you. Under pressure, with no offensive line, he can get you to the Super Bowl. But with those guys in a college setting on a neutral place, Georgia's getting ran. They're getting ran. They're getting ran.
Ali Mo, you couldn't pull the trigger. You couldn't pull the trigger.
Hey yo, he said they getting ran. Oh man.
So go ahead, JG.
I didn't slander. He just said they about to get ran. I just said, hey, they was gonna win.
It's not slander.
The
best they can do is not play them.
The credit of just how great, and again, and I think using the word great is just an understatement of what that LSU team was. I don't think you have to find different superlatives to use the word to describe how LSU in 2019 was. But going down the list, 726 points, 48.4 points per game, 8,526 total yards of offense, 6,024 passing yards, 650-point games, 568.9 total yards per game. On top of that, beating 7 top 10 teams. You beat the top 4 preseason teams, in the AP poll in the process of it. Yes, we had Jamar Chase. Yeah, we had Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. Yes, we had Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yes, we had Thaddeus Moss. But the one deciding thing that can actually even further tilt this matchup of LSU 2019 versus 2021 Georgia, what made the 2021 Georgia defense so great? Their defensive line, correct? They had one of the monster defensive line. What's being forgotten is LSU had the number 1 ranked offensive line in 2019 that won the Joe Moore Offensive Line Award. They were the best offensive line in college football in 2019. So you put the playmakers that you had, the quarterback you had, with the offensive line on top of it, that everything was just top. The best receivers, the best quarterback, the best offensive line with a really good running back, that you had in Edwards-Helaire and a couple other running backs on top of it. It is as was being said by Mo, that they would get ran. I'll go a step to this. How Oklahoma went against against LSU in the Peach Bowl, and I have the score right here. Give me 1 second. I have the score. It was 63-28. I think you'd have the same thing. 63. I'll give Georgia 30. I'd give them around 30. It would be 60 points would be put up on the Georgia defense by this LSU 2019 team. This was a special team. It was the best college football team in history. And there's nothing that can be compared to what that offense did. And again, record set. This was the best. And I'm saying right now, I'd say 60 points would be put on by that LSU team on the Georgia defense, and they win by 30.
Joe Burrow would have a clean uniform from start to finish.
Hey, he didn't. JG didn't say they were going to win close. He said they're going to put up 60 on that deal. Ooh, okay.
60, Berg. And I mean, to be honest with you, like, Alabama lost their best 2 receivers that national championship game, right? Like, they lost.
They lost one in the SEC game.
They lost one. Well, right back to back, kind of like in the same season. They lost Michi, and I think Michi was in the championship game, or I can't remember which one got hurt.
It was Mechie in the championship game, and it was Mechie in the championship game.
So if you had both of them, who's to say? You know what I'm saying? But that Georgia defense was nice, but that LSU team
it was nice.
I mean, we saw. I mean, I know 2 different years, 2019 and 2021. I know, but LSU did play Georgia in the SEC championship game in 2019 as well. Beat them 37-10. I mean, I know that defense again. So maybe Gene can call me out on it all he wants to say, and I'm being my homer saying 60 points. And now if I wanted to be the unbiased, I'd go 40. I'm being very biased saying 60. I'll go 40.
I'm not a homer.
It would be but it would be still 40, and it would be 40. It would still be a 30-point win. I still would go 30-point victory that LSU would have over Georgia's 2021 team. It would be 30 points.
Man,
hey, that LSU offense was crazy, man. That LSU offense was solid crazy. What was that score between? That was the year that they had that game against A&M, right? That high scoring game. Was it that year?
No. You talk about the 74 to 72. That was the previous year. That was 2018.
Okay. Gotcha.
So again, we talk about Joe Burrow. What created Joe Cool? Joe. If y'all want to go to that year, 2018, it was the UCF LSU game where he threw a pick six. He got trucked by the defensive lineman, blindsided him. and the taunting that happened by the UCF team, which was the national champion, defending national champion UCF team, the taunting play that took place after that pick six. And you could just see as he get back to the sideline, the eyes changed. Everything started clicking. My goodness gracious, we have the best quarterback in college football the next year. And we have what we've seen with Joe Burrow now. So, I mean, it was that moment that it clicked. And everything went from what we've seen, and the rest is history at that point. Yeah, Gene, I did say 60 as a fan of LSU. I'm going to go ahead and address that. I did. As a fan, I'm not backing down. Now, if I'm going to be unbiased as a analyst, I'll go 40 points for it. But if as a fan, you're damn right. I said 60 points.
There we go. Yeah. Get him, JG. That's what I'm talking about. Get him. Hey, JG, hey, you got a national championship in football. You got a national championship in women's basketball. The men's basketball team got a long way to come. Hey, you got one in baseball, man. Hey, you got every right to be confident, huh? Yeah, there we go.
On top of that, the number one pick in football was Joe Burrow. We had the number one pick in baseball in Paul Skeens, the number two pick in baseball in Dylan Cruz, which both of them set the record for the highest rookie contracts that was signed after draft. Skeens set the number one. Cruz was number two on top of that. And I'll put it right now this way. Angel Reese possibly will be the number one pick in the WNBA next year.
Facts. That's the truth. That girl Angel Reese is a demon. If y'all ain't seen Angel Reese, man, I encourage y'all to check out that girl.
It's an LSU world. Everybody's just living in it.
That's out of the gate next year gonna be the best team. Now, I think Clark will be this year. Angel Reese will be next year. In next year's draft. So, that team may win another natty this year. Natty. So we got we go to the next topic. Right here. Believe this is Jay's last one right here, but other than that, we go to the most overachieving individual season in sports of all time, of all time. Mo, I'm gonna start at the bottom with you.
You know what? I thought when Chris put this up, I was like, "Come on, man! Like, this is one of those questions like friendship over, right? Like, because I'm just saying I respect greatness, and when you think about individual seasons, like I thought, what about Barry Bonds' 73 home run season? Well, you can't attack that. That was just awesome. No matter what you think that's attached to it, but that was just awesome to see. Like, literally, pitchers were like, the best thing to do is walk this guy. Like, it wasn't that season. I thought about some of the 2,000-yard rushing seasons. No, those all hold up because that's an incredible achievement, especially when you look and see that all those guys' yards per carry was in the high fours, a couple fives. I couldn't attack that. It's hard for me. I'm not really a baseball guy, so I don't really touch those records. I don't do golf. So I'm left with the NBA, and I'm thinking about great individual seasons or seasons, I guess, over time that we've overrated or some have. And I thought about Wilt scoring 100 points in a game. And then that led me to Kobe's 81. And I actually thought Kobe's 81 was more impressive. I never saw Wilt play. I'm just putting it out there. But to be a perimeter player and do it from the perimeter predominantly with jump shots or stuff like that, I thought that was more impressive. So then it led me to Wilt's 50-point-a-game season. He averaged 50 points, 25 rebounds. That's an incredible achievement. But go inside the numbers, he averaged 50 points a game, but the man took 40 shots a game. That's crazy. Imagine what Kobe Bryant would do if he took 40 shots a game. It's an insane thing. He took 40 shots a game. 39.5, but 39.5 is 40. That's 40 shots.
Yeah.
So you can look at the numbers and go, he averaged 50 and 25. He's a big man, which means predominantly most of Wilt's points come in the paint, right? So you're thinking he's shooting, 58, 60%. He shot 50%, which isn't terrible, but 39 shots, you should get 50 points. You could get more. I think it's a great record. I don't want to attack records because I think they're hollowed. But if I'm nitpicking in an individual season, I would kind of nitpick at that one. Because I'm not going to get into the plumbers thing because I don't do that. I think whatever you did in your era deserves all the respect in the world. And I think Wilt is an all-time great. I struggle trying to find a single season to attack. I'm not attacking this one. I'm just nitpicking. If I'm going to nitpick a single season and go, if it was a little bit overrated, it would be the 50 points a game season. And just for the record, it was back in 62.
All right, JG, go ahead.
So I read this question probably a little bit differently in what I saw, but I have one as far as if we're going to talk about overachieving. And I respect Mo saying not wanting to attack records in this aspect of, but in the situation that took place in the 90s and where Major League Baseball was at the time, and they're essentially we're trying to recover from the 94 strike, the 98 home run chase with Mark McGwire, who, again, great home run hitter. One of the, he is, regardless of the feelings of the steroid era or whatnot, he was a great home run hitter. And the sheer thought process of somebody saving baseball in that time frame. Somebody and something had to help save baseball to get fans back and that was the whole talking point for the late 90s and early 2000s. We had to get it. Something had to be done to save baseball. McGuire's home run chase of 98 with Sosa and Griffey involved in it, and it was Sosa towards the back end of it. That was something that, again, there was a lot of talk and a lot of hype that he could do it that year. There was a lot of talk about, and I watched the documentary actually recently when I was in Lafayette, Louisiana, the home run chase of McGwire and Sosa, and they were even talking about it in spring training that, hey, Roger Maris's record could go down this year. And it was a lot of talk, but it was never something that he actually even got close to for it. I mean, and it was when he got traded to St. Louis, he was in a slump and struggling to even just fit in with the clubhouse. He was going to be a free agent after that season. He got traded in 97 and going to try to get things figured out from there. He'd never had he was, again, monster home run hitter, but it was never going to be about 60, 70 home runs that he was just going to get to that point for. And all of a sudden he breaks it and shatters the home run record of 61 with hitting 70. And the absolute mega reality of what it meant to baseball at that moment. But that was the hype. This was the year the record was going to go down, and it was going to be the year that baseball was saved. Now, fast forward, we realize the steroid era and how much of a black eye it really put into it. But the hype of what McGwire did that year and the record, again, I'll be the one to put it out there as far as on the record. What it meant and what it achieved, but at the same time, how big of a black eye it created for the sport later on down the road when everything became public about the steroid use in baseball after that.
All right, Jay.
So I may have misread the question as well, or didn't receive it the right way, but I don't like to attack records or anything like that neither, but and maybe this didn't get overhyped, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just go Steve Nash's 2005-2006 MVP season. He averaged 18.8, 10 assists. Suns were second in the West, but I just thought Kobe should have won MVP that year. The team that he had, I know records counted at that point in time, and Kobe and the Lakers were in 7th spot, as they were 45 and 37. But I mean, what Kobe was doing with that team, I mean, he had Smush Parker, Bynum, Lamar Odom, Kwame Brown, to get them even in the playoffs was amazing. And he was putting up 27, 28 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I just think Steve Nash's MVP season, I just think it was overrated. Was overrated individual season. So
I thought that was the year Kobe averaged. That wasn't the year Kobe averaged 35.
you might have. Was it?
I believe that was the year. Yeah, I believe
that was the year he averaged 35.
Yeah, I believe that was correct. Yeah.
Oh shit, that's even more reason. I must have had that's even more reason why.
Put it out there.
Even more reason why I feel like Steve Nash's his MVP season was overhyped for that.
So I'm gonna go with the 2017 Russell Westbrook triple double season. I know you can say a triple double, he averaged a triple double, but if you look at how he got his triple doubles, it was a system formed with Steven Adams, and everybody would block every other player out, and Russell Westbrook would end up coming up and getting in the rebound. When you look at him getting his assist, I think it was just mostly luck up. He'll find somebody when he's not being able to go to the basket or penetrate the right way. He'll just luck up and find somebody. I saw an actual game where he was begging a person to shoot the ball just to get a triple double. But when you look in round 1 versus my Houston Rockets, and you look at game 2, yes, but it is something about that because the team was not good at all. You had Victor Oladipo, and young Sabonis on that team, and you see what Russell Westbrook had to do to get that team to the playoffs in a 6th seed at that. But other than that, you look at game 2 and what Russell Westbrook did, similar to what you said, Mo. Russell Westbrook in game number 2 played 41 minutes. He only set out 7 minutes of the ball game. 51 points, 10 rebounds, 13 assists. But you know what came with that though? 43 shots. 43 shots to get 51 points. Took 43 shots to get 51 points. That was back when him and Patrick Beverley had that feud against each other, and Patrick Beverley remembered it, and he said it on a podium. He said, yes, he got 51, but it took him 43 shots just to get the 51 points. So I think the triple, yes, he did. It was good to average a triple double, to break Oscar Robertson. But again, I think it was kind of overhyped. I believe it was helped out a little bit by his teammates, by his teammates a little bit. But other than that, no, I just think it was a lot of over. And he also did have free throws. He shot 15 of 18 from the free throw line, so that's part of his 43 points. But he did shoot 43 shots. He shot 43. He did shoot 43 shots. That's a lot of goddamn shot attempts that he shot. So he did able to get to the free throw line a lot in that game. But 43 shots, golly. But again, I thought the triple double season was the most overhyped season for Russell Westbrook.
So, Coach, what you're saying is, if Russell Westbrook shot 43 shots a game, he would average 50 points a game.
By the logic, yes, because
I'm just joking.
No, I know, because he didn't have good teammates. He did, and that's what people were arguing. And like I say, I kind of agree with that, but I did agree with Gene that the triple double was kind of overhyped the way he got it. But the team wasn't good, assembled good enough. Wasn't really good to get past anybody, no matter who they got and drawn in the first round. So.
And if anybody's in the chat and you actually saw Wilt Chamberlain play, please speak on it. All I can go off of is the highlights and the numbers, and most of the highlights are like obviously before there was color TV. But I'm just saying he's an all-time great. Chris, I think Chris put this out there to get a curveball, maybe some arguments. I don't like attacking greats, and I don't even feel like I attacked it. I was nitpicking and I was having fun with it. When you can average 50 points a game and 25 rebounds, speaks for itself.
I said that yesterday, Mo. I didn't watch him play. I didn't know watch him play, so I could put him over Olajuwon and Shaq. I just couldn't. I just had.
I don't have him over them either, but I respect him, and I do have him in my top 10.
Got you. So, Jay, tell the people where they can follow you at before we bring our next guy up.
Man, y'all can follow me on Jay Jones on all social media platforms, IG, Facebook, Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, and TikTok. Y'all can follow me there. Y'all can catch me on the Man Cave Sports Podcast every Saturday on 613 Faith Productions on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And you can find me here on Mondays and Tuesdays kicking it with you guys. So that's where I be at. I'm going to go ahead, tag my man, GP, my man Brett. Tag him in. Y'all do y'all thing. I'll catch y'all in the comments.
There we go. Appreciate you, Jay, man. Appreciate you. Yeah,
Yes,
so Jay just tagged our next guy in, and our next guy's a Milwaukee fan, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Wisconsin fan. We got our next contestant, Mr. Brett. Guard the 3 up, man. How you doing, man?
What's up, Brett?
Hey, I'm doing good. I just have a quick question. Can I do a little piece on this last question here?
Get it off, Brett.
Because this question was actually put in by me, and the reason I did it is because I was looking into Wilt Chamberlain's 50-point per game season because people are calling it the greatest offensive season of all time. And I was thinking this is really overhyped.
Hey, no, he wasn't wrong.
Not catching it.
And I'll nitpick it a little bit here because I want to throw out some numbers as to why. Because I think it's elite. But when people say it's the greatest, I don't think so. So I think one of the biggest things a lot of people obviously we can start with is Wilt Chamberlain played 48.5 minutes per game. Bro played longer than a regulation game because in that season, 7 games went into overtime, 1 went into double and 1 went into triple overtime. He played all those games. He only sat for 8 minutes and 33 seconds because he got ejected. So he had a lot of time to put up these numbers, but also a big thing that people don't realize is pace of play. Guys, last year, the highest pace of play, the team that used the most possessions were the Golden State Warriors, 101 possessions a game. Wilt Warriors in 1962, 133 possessions per game.
Wow.
That is, 32 more possessions to get a pump on more stats and everything? Field goal attempts. The highest team last year, the Thunder, 92. Wilt's Warriors, 111. So, like that. And then, of course, 50 a game, right? For every 20 shots Wilt took, he averaged 1 assist. So he was like the original black hole on offense. You dumped it to Wilt, that shot was going up.
Oh, he wasn't passing the ball.
Wilt is a great athlete. He has a great cardio, and I respect what he did. And it was a very elite offensive season. So I'm not hating on Wilt, but I do disagree with the fact when people say this is the greatest offensive season of all time. Because, like I said, I like Wilt. I respect him. But I just think they were better. He scored 40% of his team's point. Guys who scored more percentage of their team's point. MJ in 87, Kobe in 06, Harden in 2019, and even Westbrook's triple-double. So, like I said, I like Wilt. No disrespect to him. Dude's a machine. The fact that he had the cardio, like Gene's saying, to play all those minutes, phenomenal. But I think once we look deeper into the numbers, I just think saying that it's the greatest NBA offensive season of all time is just overhyping it.
There we go, Mo. You wasn't alone, Mo. Mo, you wasn't alone. Hey.
So Brett, you're the reason why.
All right, so we're gonna go to the next topic, which is there we go. Look, Chris said Brett coming strong. There we go. Mo wasn't alone. Mo didn't say it for no reason. All right, so we got Mikal Bridges saying the Nets all support Ben Simmons. Predicting he will do big things this season. Will he, JG?
No. No. What has he shown us? What has Ben and speaking with the LSU theme, Ben Simmons on LSU. He played for LSU for 1 year. What has he shown us that he can do great things, or big things, or be a huge piece into a team? We haven't seen that in his career really at all. I know Mikal Bridges is trying to hype him up and and say, hey, we've trying to get a little bit better continuity for the Nets after what they've been dealing with Kyrie and Durant and Harden. But Ben Simmons is not that player. He hasn't been that player, and I don't think that's going to even be who he is as a ball player. He's a role player from this point of his career. And if you're expecting big things out of Ben Simmons, you're in trouble as an NBA team. So, I appreciate the optimism that Bridges is bringing for Ben Simmons and trying to help him out with, to at least get his mindset right, because that is something, again, talking about, one of the most mental fragile players that Ben Simmons is. I don't see Ben Simmons really being that piece to the Nets that they need him to be. He hasn't been that throughout his career, and it's not going to happen this year.
Right, Brett?
Hey, Ben Simmons is going to kill it after this contract when he's playing on the Guangdong Tigers, so I'll give it that.
Guangdong Tigers. Okay, the Guangdong Tigers.
But in all reality, he'd probably quit on them too. He quit on Australia, he quit on LSU, he quit in Philly, he quit in Brooklyn. Is he going to do anything? No. He's not mentally tough enough to handle it. He's shown this before. At this point, he's just a role player, and it's unfortunate because he could be an all-NBA caliber defender with extremely great playmaking and great transition finishing. He could be a very good player. Could be a star-level player. But he's just shown he just mentally cannot handle being that guy. He cannot handle being a star player. He just wants to collect his checks and go home. He has no passion or love for the game. So I get what Bridges is trying to do. He's trying to hype him up, be a good teammate. But no, I'm expecting absolutely nothing from Ben Simmons because he hasn't shown me anything to trust him with.
JG, I have a quick question before we go to Mo. Is it true that Ben Simmons didn't even want to go to class? Didn't even like going to class in LSU? Is that how true that is?
So I had actually had a few friends who were at LSU during that time, and there was some stories that he didn't go to classes. Not that he didn't.
I knew it.
There were stories that I was told that he didn't even go. He was there just to be there for 1 year, go to the NBA draft, and then was there. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm not putting it out there and confirming. I'm just being told from from some friends of mine that were there that was basically the stories that they were told. He didn't go to classes. Not that he didn't want to. He just did.
Thank you. That's from enough source. I'm gonna believe those friends, and I knew what I was saying. That tests your mental toughness already, right there. That just tests your mental toughness by not wanting to be taught, and not wanting to go to class. So thank you so much, JG. Go ahead.
To be fair, Coach, though, do we think Shaq went to class?
Right. Hold on. Shaq was from a military family. Shaq was from a military family.
Was a military guy, but I'm just saying.
So Shaq went to class. Just because I know from what we again talking about stories. Shaq's father, he was terrified of his father. He was absolutely terrified of his father. So yeah, Shaq went to class.
I just knew Ben Simmons didn't do it. Didn't go. But go ahead, Mo.
So at his peak, he was giving you 16, 8, and 8, and was an elite defender at all positions. When he went to the Nets in the trade, I set the bar. I thought I set it low. I thought if he could average 10 points a game, 5 rebounds and 5 assists, but still be a very good defender, then he would have value as a rotation player, maybe no longer a star. I don't know going forward if you can get 10, 5, and 5 and the elite defense anymore. Because I think the bar is lowered now, but the problem is he doesn't seem like he has the heart to play the game anymore, compete. We can go all the way back to what happened in the Atlanta series and the aftermath when, he felt like everybody threw him under the bus. I think he got broke. I think he literally got broke mentally, and it's a hurdle he's never gotten back over. And I don't think he'll ever get over that hurdle again. I'm not saying he can't play for a team, but now you're not talking about Ben Simmons, a guy who's an all-star. Now you're talking about Ben Simmons, a guy that plays 16, 18 minutes a game, and he's a spot rotation player. That's a drastic fall from where he once was. So Bridges is saying all the right things as a teammate, but even he doesn't believe that.
Can I just say real quick? Freddie says he'll be an all-star this year. Are you willing to put money on that? Because I am. Got I'm willing to bet money that the reverse Allen Iverson dude with no heart will be an all-star this year.
Hey, like I said, I'm glad JG confirmed that for me because that's something I looked at and I said, that when you're not going with that tests your mental toughness actually already by not really going to class, not going to class. Go ahead, JG. Go ahead.
Going to CJ, talking about hyping up LSU, players here. Ben Simmons at LSU was the most overhyped. I mean, we got nothing out of him at LSU. We didn't. He was a star basketball player that arrived at LSU but didn't really do much for us and for the thing. And there was a lot of behind the scenes things. Again, the class, that was part of it. But the how the coaching and how they babied him at LSU was the big thing about it as well. Like, and then when you go, and again, you went to Philadelphia. You go from Baton Rouge, which I'll put it this way: when you're in Baton Rouge, basketball is third on the pecking order of sports in Baton Rouge and LSU. It's football, baseball, 1A, it's 1A, 1B. Now it's women's basketball is 2, and then you have men's basketball right behind that as well. So you're not focused as far as how the fans are at there. You're not really the superstar at that campus. It's football and baseball. It's the Kings, then basketball if you're talking about men's sports behind it. So he flew under the radar basically because of what LSU cares about the most, and it's not basketball. So you go from Baton Rouge to a campus that you didn't play in front of sellout crowds all that much, to a fan base that is rabid in Philadelphia. Yeah, of course it's going to be very tough, and that's what. And we're talking about how it broke him mentally. You're a professional athlete, though. At that point, you're a professional athlete. You got to find a way to be able to block it out. But that's a wrong fan base to go into. And then now he's in New York and Brooklyn with another rabid fan base as far as how they treat their athletes from that. So if it's the mental side that's so much about it, if it's the mental side that's so tough for him, he needs to get out of New York, get out of Brooklyn, go play in Charlotte, or go play. Go play in Memphis, go play in Portland, where again the fan bases are not as rabid. It's not going to be as much spotlight on you, and then maybe we can see the real Ben Simmons at that point. But
I actually agree.
What we've seen is just who he is.
I actually agree with that. He needs to be in a small pond somewhere where nobody's even paying attention to that guy. I'm not rooting against anybody to have success, but I just feel like everything he's gone through and what he hasn't been since he left Philly, I don't see him coming back and becoming an all-star level player. I just don't see that. Ben Simmons is not going to make an all-star team. Not this year, not next year, not a few years down the road. If he can pull himself together, maybe he can turn himself into a respectable role player. Maybe he can win a 6 Man of the Year. That would be a drastic comeback if he won any type of reward, comeback player of the year, 6 Man of the Year, something like that. Even defensive player of the year, that would be something of a comeback. But you're asking me to believe that's going to happen from a guy the last 3 or 4 seasons. He's a no-show.
I mean, go to, as Key said, go to some of Utah. Go to Orlando. I mean, that's where. I mean, you're not. Orlando would be a probably better place because sometimes people forget that Orlando has an NBA team.
That's true.
He lying.
I think he needs to go to a place too. Not only that's a small pond, but they just like to run in transition because he's such a liability in the half court that you need to find a team that not only it's small, but they're young and they're hungry and they just want to run. Because if he's not a player that you can use in the half court effectively, we've already shown that. So,
Gotcha. So we got the next topic is the NFL Top 100 was revealed yesterday. We had Trevor Lawrence at number 96. Is that too low for Trevor Lawrence? And you also had Dalvin Cook, who was number 31 last year out of 100 players. Now he's 91. He comes in at 91 after 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. Mo, I'm gonna start with you.
96 for Trevor Lawrence. I do think that's kind of low. I know that he's still young. I know that he's still ascending in his career, but 96 seems really far back for a guy who a lot of people have projected was going to lead his team to win the division this year, right? Most people are picking Jacksonville to win the division. A lot of people are picking them to run away with the division. I don't see it that way, but a lot of people have made that stand. I think Trevor Lawrence has all the talent in the world, and I think he's only going to get better over the course of his career. 96 to me, that's kind of far back. I think he should be a lot further up than that. So I disagree with his ranking. I think that's way too far. The Dalvin Cook thing, to me, that's just an added level of disrespect to the running back position. He actually had a better season, and he got ranked lower. What changed other than I guess he aged a year, and maybe because we devalue running backs because he's a year older, he's what 60 places worse. Like I don't understand that. So
yep,
that's just a continued devaluation of the running back position.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, I agree with T-Law. I think that ranking for him is too low, but I think what's going to be nice is I think that's bulletin board material for him. So I think he's hanging that up in his locker, and he's now going to come back firing even better than last year. So I do agree it's too low. The Dalvin Cook thing, though, I do understand why he dropped. Let's compare last year and this year, and let's see what changed. He rushed for only 14 more yards, 2 more touchdowns, and he had 51 more receiving yards. The big difference between the two, why I think there was such a big drop, last year he did that in 13 games. This past year he played 17. 4 more games, and he did the exact same thing as last year. So to me, I know it looks like, yeah, he had better stats than last year, but it wasn't by that much, and he had 4 more games to do more. So you can kind of see that, okay, it did look like he regressed a bit. So I understand a drop. Do I think that it was worth that far of a drop? Not necessarily, but I do understand the drop because it might not look like it, but to me it did seem like he regressed a bit. So I do agree with him dropping, but I don't think it should have been that far. I will agree with that point.
Go ahead, JG.
These rankings were done by the players too, correct? I mean, this is the
the players do these.
This isn't media. This isn't the media that's sitting here saying this or anything like that. As far as talking about devaluing Dalvin Cook and the running back, this is coming from the players themselves. For Lawrence, I at the moment I'm okay with him being where he's at. Could you make the case at least 10 more spots into the 80s? Yeah, you can make the case for that, but I don't think he's that much higher. He should be that much higher up after one good season he's had so far. Again, as much as we said, I want to see him do it again, and I want to see progression even more. So this season, if he has a similar better season in 2023. Then, hey, the conversation is going to be where's he at in the 60s or maybe 50s at that point. But for right now, after one season, I don't mind him being where he's at in the 90s. Maybe you could make the argument in the mid upper 80s on the list. But for right now, I'm fine with it. For Dalvin Cook, much like Brett just said, the numbers were better, but there were discrepancies to it as far as why they were better, and they weren't as much better as they should be for what he was doing last year. So in the grand scheme of it, could you make the case that he should be better? Absolutely. I think you could make the case easily. He probably could be a little bit higher up. But again, this is coming from players. This is how the players view Dalvin Cook, that he has regressed himself, and why we're seeing the teams kind of looking at him and saying, hey, we're interested, but we're not interested. If the players are viewing him at where he's at in the 90s as well, at the top 100, why do you think teams are kind of feeling the same way? So is it disrespectful? A little bit, but that's kind of what we're at right now with Dalvin Cook is we're seeing from everybody at that point, teams for during his time as free agent. And now we see the players' perspective of Dalvin Cook and what they think of him.
Got you. So we got the last topic of the day, of the morning. Which rookie quarterback has the best season this year? Break it down into two categories. Who has the best stats and who leads their team to the best record? I'm gonna start with you, JG.
I think it's really a two-team race if you look at as far as or two-player race if you look at it as far as quarterbacks. It's either going to be Anthony Richardson with the Colts or it's going to be Bryce Young with the Panthers, just because they've already basically been named starting quarterbacks for the season. Will Levis is still going to be behind Ryan Tannehill. The other quarterbacks, I don't think you're going to see a lot of opportunities for others that have been drafted. So it's going to be between Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young. I'm going to go towards Anthony Richardson because I think that he's set up a little bit better. With you have Michael Pittman as your receiver, you have Jonathan Taylor as your running back. They're going to try to get themselves reestablished moving forward with what they're doing. I think Richardson's going to have the better season. I think that as far as the division wise, they're both very similar as far as that. It's not a great division, the AFC South and the NFC South for both those quarterbacks, but you do have a team who's a front runner like the Saints, and you have a team that's the front runner like the Jaguars right now, with everybody else kind of figuring out who they are. But I think this is a little bit tougher road for Bryce Young, in the NFC South for him, and with a team that's not as talented, with playmakers that Anthony Richardson does have in Indianapolis currently. So I do have to lean right now to Richardson having a better season. Was I not buying into the hype of Richardson being a first-round quarterback? Yes, I thought he should have been maybe a second-round quarterback getting drafted, but he was a first-round pick by the Colts. With the players they have for him, I think he's going to have a better season than Bryce Young, and he'll be essentially the top quarterback of this draft class in 2023 performance-wise.
Rick?
All right, first off, Francis, I agree Terry McLaurin should be higher than a 94.
Same.
But moving back to the topic at hand, yeah, I agree with that. I just don't think the Texans have enough around Stroud right now to really kind of jump into this conversation. Right. So I do think it's between Richardson and Bryce Young. I still question Anthony Richardson's accuracy. I don't question his arm strength. So I do think that he does have the added benefit of Jonathan Taylor and his own running ability that should take a lot of pressure and make throws easier for him. But if I had to guess, I'm going to go with better stats and better record. I'm going to guess Bryce Young.
And I did forget about C.J. Stroud. I think Stroud will have the better career of all three of those guys, of Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, and Stroud. I think Stroud will have the better career. But for right now, much like Brett just said, there's not a lot of what he has in Houston compared to what Anthony Richardson does have currently in Indianapolis.
Mo?
So I'm going to go with Bryce Young because I just think when you look at the talent that's already there with the system they're going to run, he's set up to me, in my opinion, for success immediately. I'm going to look at his division as well. I really think we all agree that this division is Derek Carr's division to lose, right?
Correct.
I agree.
We think it's his division to lose. I expect the Saints to win it, but I actually think the Panthers are going to be a very good second place team. I think Bryce Young is going to have an outstanding season. To me, with his talent, with his wheels and his decision making, he's going to be the more accurate of those guys, at least in the immediate sense. I'm not going to go about career, but I'm talking about like right now today. I think Bryce Young is set up for success. I think he's going to have a really good rookie season.
All right, got y'all. So we got the last segment is Mo. You got your guy. You got your guy now.
Talking about Kid Dynamite.
Go ahead, man. Tell us about him.
So Kid Dynamite, aka that's Mike Tyson.
Gotcha.
Mike Tyson started off in the amateurs, fought Henry Tillman twice for the right to go to the Olympics, to be on that great 1984 Olympic boxing team. Henry Tillman beat him twice in the trials. He goes to the pros. Immediately, they put him up against journeyman, but they bring him along slow. I don't know if you remember this. When Tyson was fighting, Coach, early on, That's when his fights, they were putting him on TV like on a regular basis. He was on ESPN, he was on ABC. Kid Dynamite was killing him. 28 of his 26 fights, out of the 28 his first 28 fights, 26 of them were knockouts. 16 of those in the first round. So he's beating up James Tillis, David Juco, Jesse Ferguson, Mitch Green. Tyson goes on at age 20 and he meets Trevor Berbick for the WBC Heavyweight Championship. Rex Trevor Berbick takes the title. At that time, they're building him up. Like I said, he was on TV on a regular basis. There's a particular fight that gets hyped up. It's Mike Tyson versus Marvis Frazier. If you don't know who Marvis Frazier is, he's the son of the famous great boxer Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier is actually doing most of the hype. He's telling everybody Mike Tyson wants no part of his son. He's never seen anybody with the punching power of Marvis. He's never had anybody come at him. Marvis Frazier and Mike Tyson meet. The bell rings. Mike Tyson sprints over to Marvis Frazier's corner, and Marvis Frazier never gets out of his corner. He gets knocked out in 31 seconds. Mike Tyson goes on to fight the unification battles. Now, at the time, that's Pinklin Thomas, that's James Bone Crusher Smith. These are well-known heavyweights. Tyson beats Bone Crusher Smith, knocks out Pinklin Thomas, becomes the unified heavyweight champion of the world at age 21. He also holds the belts of all the sanctioning bodies. If you've ever seen Mike Tyson fight, the combination of speed, the defense with the pickaboo style, his signature hits or his signature shots, it's the shot to the body, it's the hook to the body, followed by a hook to the head. The counter is a body shot to the right and an overhand left-hand hook. He had knockout punching power in both hands. He had the speed, the hand speed of guys at a lower weight class. He had hand speed of a guy that was a welterweight. That's how quick his hands was. I know the detractors will say, who did he fight? And I'm okay with you saying that. What I will say is this. When Mike Tyson came along, boxing was dead. There was no reason to watch heavyweight boxing. There was nothing to watch. When Mike Tyson came and he started doing what he did, everybody watched the Mike Tyson fight. You weren't watching to see if he was going to win or not. You was watching to see how long the opponent was going to last. So when you talk about great fighters, a big part of a great fighter is their aura. Mike Tyson would walk into a ring and his aura alone would already give him a victory. Most guys that got into the ring with Mike Tyson, their biggest mistake were they were already afraid. They weren't thinking of fighting. They were thinking of surviving. So to me, Mike Tyson was actually a great fighter. Maybe overrated in the sense that he never had a truly great fighter to challenge him. But at his peak, when he had Customato and Kevin Rooney was the second, I think Mike Tyson was actually a great fighter. He just came along in the wrong time and didn't have any real competition. So we moved to 1990. Mike Tyson has dominated the heavyweight division. There's nobody in front of him. He goes over and he's fighting. What is that man's name? It loses me all the time.
Which one?
The knockout in Japan.
Japan, Buster Douglas.
James Buster Douglas. It is the biggest. He's far and away an underdog. And James Buster Douglas comes out and fights the fight of a lifetime. Jabs, counters. Every time Tyson would come in, he would stymie him by tying him up. Anyway, James Buster Douglas dominates Mike Tyson, knocks him out in the 9th round to take away the heavyweight championship of the world. It is the biggest upset maybe in any sport at any time ever. I remember watching it. Mind you, I wasn't a Mike Tyson fan, but as I watched it from round to round as it was happening, I just couldn't believe it was happening. I had never seen anybody not just dominate Mike Tyson, but somebody actually came forward. I've never seen anybody come forward and press him. So that was different. Now, obviously, Mike Tyson had troubles outside the ring. He spent a couple years in prison, got out of prison, had a few tune-up fights. He actually recovered 2 more of the belts before he went on to fight Evander Holyfield. And another great upset. This was at the time when Evander Holyfield was way past his prime. Mike Tyson was an overwhelming favorite and Evander Holyfield just outboxed him.
Yep.
He just outboxed him, and he kind of beat Mike Tyson at his own game because Mike Tyson was great at infighting, and Evander Holyfield beat him at infighting, and he controlled the fight with his jab. So he wins a unanimous decision. They go on to fight a second time, and I know everybody knows what happened in the second fight.
Yep.
Evander Holyfield is frustrating Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson accusing Evander Holyfield of headbutting him. He gets frustrated, and he bites Evander Holyfield's ears. He's disqualified. Holyfield holds on to the championship. And from that point on, I think Mike Tyson was never really a serious contender in the heavyweight division. Look, there are a lot of great fighters. You can talk about Ali. You can talk about Foreman, Joe Frazier, even Larry Holmes, the Eastern Assassin.
Yeah.
But in terms of aura, coach, when guys walked into the ring, the black boots, the black shorts, the gloves, no entourage, no robe, that walk in, when he stepped into the ring, immediate intimidation and fear. And I've never seen that ever. I've heard of what George Foreman was in his prime. I never saw it, but I saw it with Mike Tyson. For the time that he was in his peak, in his early 20s, the most intimidating fighter in heavyweight history, Mike Tyson.
Got you. Great breakdown right there. And again, you cannot help who he fought back in that time. Like you said, the heavyweight division was weak. And again, he did fought some great, good, solid names. I mean, I could give you
about Razor Ruddock.
Razor Ruddock was supposed to win that tournament. He was supposed to win that tournament. Tyson fought him twice and beat him. We forgot about Spence. Now, Spence was undefeated. He was a lineal champion at that point. He was undefeated, and he knocked him out in the first. Go ahead, Mo.
No. What I would say is his crowning jewel of his career was knocking out Michael Spinks in 91 seconds.
Yep.
Michael Spinks wasn't his best fight.
Yep.
But Michael Spinks was of all the fighters he fought, Michael Spinks was in his prime. Michael Spinks had dominated the light heavyweight division, had came up and taken a piece of the heavyweight division by beating Larry Holmes and then Jerry Cooney. So to beat Michael Spinks, that was somebody that was actually in his prime. You can argue that Michael Spinks came up from light heavyweight, but that's not Mike Tyson's problem. Mike Tyson's job is to knock out whoever's in front of him, and he took Michael Spinks out in 91 seconds.
Yeah, then you can say he fought an older Larry Holmes. Well, can we get the same excuse that Larry Holmes beat a retired or older Muhammad Ali?
Right.
And matter of fact, you remember Ray Mercer? Ray Mercer was supposed to beat, arguably, who beat Lennox Lewis. Arguably, he outpointed Lennox Lewis. That old Larry Holmes beat Ray Mercer, beat the young Ray Mercer. So he came into that Tyson bout. Really was supposed to be giving him a problem because of that jab, and Tyson ended up knocking him out. So he has Frank Bruno. Frank Bruno was a respectable boxer. I believe, from the from the UK or something like that.
UK, yeah. Don't forget about Bruce Seldon.
Yep.
He fought some big, powerful fighters, but like I said, when you're in the heavyweights now, coach, you're talking about guys at 250, 260. They've never seen anybody with that kind of speed.
But that's the same logic you said Larry Holmes was old, but that logic right there that I'm saying he beat the old Muhammad Ali, and he came into the Tyson fight when nobody thought he was going to be a younger Ray Mercer, who actually outpointed Lennox Lewis, who many people will say he beat Lennox Lewis up. So going into that fight, hey.
I think that's why he got the title fight, that coach, because he upset Ray Mercer. Yes,
he upset Ray Mercer, and he went into Tyson fight, and Tyson beats him. Now he's old. He's an old fighter. But that's the same. That's Muhammad Ali. He fought Muhammad Ali and beat Muhammad Ali, who was old as well. So I mean, I think that's a solid win for Tyson. I think that's a hell of a win, especially a person that come in that's beating a younger Ray Mercer, who's supposed to be, and who has one of the brutal knockouts of all in boxing history when he beat the hell out of Tommy Morrison, when he beat down Tommy.
That. Yeah, I remember that. Look, like I said, if you're a critic, and I'm just talking about the boxer, your harshest criticism will be there weren't a lot of great heavyweights at his prime or at his peak. I have no problem with that. That's what was there. The man can only fight what's in front of him. So So if that's your criticism, it's a fair criticism. But I'm just talking about in the bigger scope. I think Mike Tyson, he wasn't like a one-trick pony to me. I mean, he had hand speed. He actually, in his peak, the defensive ability, the shoulder rolls. How many times did he take on guys that were 6'5", 260, and he would just chop them down like trees? So I think Mike Tyson is actually a great fighter in the bigger scope.
Gotcha. So we got some breaking news for Bronny James. Y'all keep Bronny James and y'all thoughts and prayers for today and for many.
Oh wow.
More. So other than that, man,
thoughts and prayers.
It's been a solid, great morning show. Enjoy being up here with you guys. So Mo, tell the people they can follow you at.
Right here in the Empire with you, Coach. Monday through Friday, we're doing Coffee Sports in the morning. You can also catch me on the cheap seats at 6:30 with Gene and the guys. And other than that, it's a blast having Brett, having JG on, and Jay. That's the crew.
Gotcha. Brett?
You can find me right back here in about 11 hours for a Line in the Sand tonight. For any of you wrestling fans in the chat, come check us out.
I'll be watching.
Appreciate it, Mo. Say tonight we're doing some fantasy booking. Bret Hart versus Bryan Danielson from AEW. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Look at Mo say what?
That's my favorite wrestler, man. Hey, respect the Hitman.
Oh, absolutely. Don't worry. The way I did it, we gave him plenty of respect. But, come check us out tonight, and you can find me on the morning show Tuesday, Thursday, and Fridays.
Hey, you know what? We gotta get that would be a good time to get King Doug on too. King, aka Doug, up on that too. I love King Doug, man. Doug, I love you, brother. Go ahead, JG. Go ahead. Tell the people they can follow you.
You can find me here with you guys in the mornings on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Always been enjoying this with you guys and being able to do the shows and talking sports with y'all on those days. You can check me out on Facebook, Alpha Performance Baseball, Alpha Performance Softball, see all the good things that we're doing with the kids. You can check us out on Twitter at B_and_alpha. Again, same thing. We're kind of doing a lot of our promotions for the kids through our social media networks. As well, if you're in the DFW area, you can find me on the golf course. We got some time off. I'm going to go play some golf and relax. Just no cheating in the process, though.
Hey, JG, before we get out of here, what would LSU do to Georgia's defense?
Hey, there we go.
I said, as a fan, if I give you my answer as a fan, we're putting 60 up and it's not close. I'll stand by that. I don't care what a fan. I'm LSU Tigers. All right, as a fan, we putting 60 up on the board on Georgia. If I'm being an unbiased analyst, we're putting 40.
Ooh,
just 40.
Hey, go ahead. Hey, Mo, I was about to ask him the same thing. Hey, he got a reason to be confident, man, in that, man. He got a national title in football, baseball, women's basketball.
Nothing but respect.
There's a lot of respect right there. Shout out to the LSU Tigers.
For one more, I believe, I'll double check on this. We're the only school to have a number one pick in football, the number one pick in basketball, the number one pick in baseball, and the number one pick in women's basketball. Because we remember Simone Augustus years and years ago was a number one pick in the WNBA. And we have two in the NFL. We have Jamarcus Russell and Joe Burrow. We have two in baseball, Ben McDonald and Paul Skeens. We have two in the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal, Ben Simmons. And like I said, I'm predicting right now, Angel Reese. And I know Caitlin Clark's right there with her. Angel Reese will be the number one pick in the WNBA the next year, and that gives us two WNBA number one picks. We'll be the only school to have more than one at all four sports in North America.
Respect.
Hey, JG, who did Alex Brakeman play for?
Was that?
Who did Alex Brakeman play for?
Alex Brakeman, LSU. Go Tigers.
Yeah, there we go. God gotcha, man. There we go. So as for Coach Dante, as for my guy Mo, my boy Brett, my guy JG, man, we signing off here this morning, man. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day, man.